Today, I'm your host. My name is Viola Edwards. I'm a board member of Women for Solution, founded by my dear friend and sister of heart, Laura Giadorokosh. And today is my pleasure to be here interviewing my dear friend, mentor, colleague, and new brother in my life, Muhammad Isa. So Muhammad Isa and we met through the creation of a book about women on success, because we will go into conversation and you will see and we will learn why and how Muhammad come into supporting women in this, it seems subtle way, but at the same time profound and constant way in our expansion to various areas of life. But we are here today also with Muhammad because we want to learn about accelerating, about shining, about growing. So we have an interview that is mixed between various subjects. Let me tell you first a short bio about Muhammad Isa. He's an international award-winning Bahraini speaker and Amazon best-selling author. He started his career at Unilever, then a member of an executive team that took a startup company from $63 million to $528 million in just 4 years. So that's a big number. And let's share together. How is it that they did that? Welcome, Muhammad. How are you?
Hi, Viola. It's a pleasure being here with you and the audience. It's always a pleasure working closely with you.
Yes. So, Muhammad, you are from Bahrain, and just before we started this conversation, you were telling us what does it mean Bahrain. So let's get just 1 minute to talk about your beautiful country that I visited for the first time in November, and I fall in love with it.
Yes, Bahrain means two seas. That's the Arabic name translated into English. And one of the phenomena we have in Bahrain is that we have freshwater springs in the middle of the sea. So this is the name, two seas that are not mixing together. And in Bahrain, we have heritage, we have culture, we have food, amazing food, and people are very kind. There was a survey of kindness internationally. Bahrain was ranked in the top 10 countries, along with Oman. So we are very kind people. I hope so.
Indeed, really very kind people, so many things to do, and beautiful country, beautiful people. So I was saying I'm looking forward to go back there very soon.
You're most welcome.
So Muhammad, we met in your book that I'm part of your beautiful book, Women on Success. Tell us about this project. How is it that you come with this idea?
All right. Before I talk about the book, let me take you back into my time as a child. As a child, I was influenced by of course, my mom, my grandmother, by my aunt, and by many other females in my life. So I always found it fascinating to support women. And the first official project that I was involved with was a documentary film called Models of Success. It was produced in Bahrain back in 2005. I was the line producer. I was an actor in the film. We had 4 women in the film. They were extraordinary women. We had someone from Oman. She was the person who spread medical and health awareness in the entire country of Oman, single-handedly. And then we had the first woman in Saudi who was able to establish a commercial registration. At that time, establishing a commercial registration in Saudi was very, very challenging. And then we had a businesswoman from Bahrain, very successful. She started with a very small cargo company, and then now she has an empire. And what we have done is we brought a fresh graduate from University of Bahrain to interview these 3 women in a setting where they are meeting in a house and chatting about life. The film was produced by an American producer. His name is Art Jones. and the film won international awards. And that was the beginning of working with women empowerment. Then, of course, I had the opportunity to mentor and coach many women throughout my career. In 2018, I think, or 2019, I was sitting thinking, what can I do? Because I started publishing collaborative books where I invite people to bring their chapters, their ideas, their stories, so that we can publish collaborative books to inspire. The first book was called The DNA of Development. It was mostly on training, development, and HR. Then I had another book called On Startups. Everyone is planning to start a business now. So I thought, why not give them the knowledge, the insights from real startup owners and executives? When that was done, I thought, now what? And I have a daughter called Dana. She's in the 10th grade now. She's going to university in 2 years. I always think Dana deserves better. She's a hard worker. And I should at least push in the direction of women empowerment. If not for my daughter, at least I need to include other women. And that's how the idea of the book came. Women on Success. And in that book, we had 37 authors from 6 continents, including yourself, Viola. And it was a pleasure working with such a diverse group from North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia. So that was the idea of the book, to have real stories from women. Because sometimes all what we need is to know of someone who succeeded so that we can take them as an example in our life. That was the story of the book.
Yes, indeed. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. So this book, I really enjoy it. I take it with me wherever I go, and it has been so beautiful, especially when I went to Bahrain for first time and I met some other co-authors, and now we have other plans together. So what you did with your book, the book is not only to nurture our mind and our soul, also is a wonderful way of networking and rising steadily in a solid way, because then you are already with people from the 6 continents, and then you have this connection with all these people. So personally, I have enjoyed your book, and I'm most thankful and hoping that we can do many more. So
absolutely. Yeah, if you allow me, Viola, I have a motto when I invite people to the books. I always tell them about this. It's more than a book. The book brings us together, but after the book is published, we don't know what will happen. Earlier, before we officially started this call, I was talking to you and Lubna, and now I know she's into artificial intelligence. We can publish a book on artificial intelligence. So the possibilities are limitless.
Indeed, indeed. So how is it that you went into books? I know in myself, books saved my life. It was my refuge when I was kid, and I just get the world of fantasy, and I had so many issues in my life. So I will, the memory of me hiding behind the book, but I will eat the books. And books and me, we have a very personal relationship. But I never dreamt of being an author. So when I published my book early in the latest 1990, it was such a gift. And I have a whole story about that. But how is it that you went to publish your first book? What inspired?
Absolutely. Publishing books is an absolute pleasure, and we are lucky to have had accomplished that. I'll tell you, I consider myself as the accidental author. Today, I have around 16 books that are published, whether I'm the co-author or the editor-in-chief or the sole author. I have 16 books, but it all started with the university projects when I was doing my MBA. The instructor told us, get into groups and try to think of what kind of dissertations topics you can take. So I had a Kuwaiti friend with us, And he was working in the investors field. So I told him, why don't you write something on investor relations? And he said, are you crazy? There are no resources on this topic. If I go and research this topic, I'll fail my dissertation. If you're brave enough, take it on yourself. And I like being challenged by other people. So I say, okay, I'll take it. He said, are you crazy? I said, no, yeah, I am crazy sometimes. So I took the subject and I published a dissertation. I received a distinction from the university. And I thought this dissertation copy should not be just lying in my shelf. I should do something about it. So there was the Middle East Investor Relations Society hosting a conference in Dubai. And I thought, let me go to Dubai, fly for 2 days, attend the conference, all at my own expense. My company did not sponsor that. So I went to the chairman of the society and I said, Mr. Arif, this is my dissertation copy and I want to gift it to the society. And he said, oh, how interesting. You should meet Michael. I said, who's Michael? He said, Michael is a Polish gentleman, but he works in London. Come, let me introduce you to Michael. So we went to Michael. Michael was fascinated and Michael continued saying, Mohammed, you should meet TJ. I said, who's TJ? He said, TJ is a British gentleman living in Bahrain. So he introduced me to TJ. I met with TJ and we discussed my dissertation results for 4 hours. And before TJ signed off for the meeting, he said, don't leave this dissertation on your bookshelf. You should publish it as a book. I said, TJ, I have no idea about publishing books. He said, you should meet Jalal. I said, who's Jalal? He said, he's a Bahraini gentleman living in Belarus, but now he's on vacation in Bahrain. He knows about publishing books. You should meet. So I met with Jalal and the book was published back in 2010. And I can tell you, the book changed my life, literally. For example, let me give you one story. I was speaking in conferences about investor relations and corporate governance. So one time I was a panelist and when I got off from the stage, there was an English gentleman. His name is Abdullah Wallace. He was walking so fast towards me and he had his business card extended in the air. Hello, Mohammed. This is my business card. Can you write something for our magazine? Just like what you have said on the stage. I said, yeah, sure, I can write. So I invested 3 hours. I wrote him an article. I sent it. And then he replied saying, do you mind if we give it to our editor for edit? I said, no, not at all. Go ahead. He'll make it better, I'm sure. So then he returned the copy to me. It was amazing. The improvement was amazing. Then he surprised me. He said, okay, when can we send our professional photographer to take a photo of you? I said, oh, this is getting serious. So we have a chairman. He's not a Bahrain resident. So he has a very nice office, the best office in our company, but he only stay in this office for maybe six days a year. So I thought, let me go to the chairman's office and play the big shot this time. So we took the photograph. And then when we finished all of this, they sent me the article and I was surprised. The article ran into 3 pages or 4 pages. And to have icing on the cake, he sent me an email. He said, Mohammed, we're writing you a check. Can you give us your full name? And I said, oh my God, I'm getting a check. So that's how I started with books, and books changed my life. And now I can be more credible when I go to prospective clients. Yesterday I was meeting with a prospective client and I gave them 6 books. I told them, this is a gift to you, and they were impressed. So this is the beauty of books.
Indeed. For me, it's also a beautiful story how, because of the several languages and having migrated so many times in my life, I would not be able to sit and write, but some of my students had recorded me and then they transcribe it without telling me and they send it to me. And when I saw those words in the screen and I start like fixing and correcting, I had a new talent born. So I still many times need to be corrected because sometimes I mix words from here and from there. but the ability to write come after the ability to speak publicly. So it was a beautiful gift that life gave me. And in that time, in the 90s, it was so difficult to publish. So I'm so thankful all the time. Every time I can say, Jose Luis Garcia, thank to you for believing in me and for publishing that book, because also it was as a like diplomatic passport when I moved country. Because then if you publish a book in that time, you had something to say and people will give you an interview. And after that, if I have chance to be with somebody and say, what is my thought and what I work with, then we have it. So it was beautiful. And now I have 2 published books and 13 co-authoring books. So here we go. So we have that love. We have that love for book. Muhammad, tell me, what is it that thing that accelerates your career? You're coming from the financial world, and but tell me, what was the thing that accelerates your career to be who you are today?
Well, I think one of the things that accelerated my career significantly, and I deeply believe in this, is being an avid reader. Being an avid reader. I read a lot. I remember saving my pocket money to buy books when I was a child. So most people don't read. So when you read, you have an edge on other people. And I remember when I was 13, I have an uncle. I love this uncle. Why? Because of many reasons. One, I was the eldest boy in the family among all my cousins, and because I was tall, I was getting all his t-shirts and tracks and shoes. And not only that, whenever he goes out from my grandfather's house, I'll go to his room, spray some of his perfume on my clothing. So I loved him for so many ideas. I hope you will not see this interview. So one time, one of the things that I grabbed in his room was a career guide. I was 13 at that time, and the career guide had different jobs. It gave different job descriptions. It gave what it takes to become that job, to get that job, and most importantly, it had the salary. It had the salary at the bottom of the page. So, being from an underprivileged family, you know, money is always something that you think of. So, without reading too much in this career guide, I found the highest job at that time. It was paying around $700 at that time. And I looked to the top of the page, it said the accountant. And it was very good that I read that, because since 13, I decided to become an accountant. And I didn't go to science school. I went to commercial school. Just that's it. The path was very clear. So I went to commercial school. I did my bachelor's degree in accounting from the University of Bahrain. Then I passed the certified public accountant exams in the US. I was working in a multinational company at that time. I signed my employment contract 3 months before graduating. So all of this was because I read a lot. So, and there is a saying, leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. So I think reading is very significant for people who want to accelerate in their life.
I'll tell you also a story about why I'm now very involved with Women for Solution, part of their board. The founder is my dear heart sister. But actually what united us was a book also. So here is a friend from Venezuela telling me, they're going to be this meeting analyzing a book. Come in. You have published, and Laura loves books and author. Maybe you will have a chance to discuss your book. So it was all filled with people, but she insisted, and I have a space in that event, and we discussed a book, and we just fall in love immediately, and then we started our relationship. And I discovered something about Laura, is that when she buy a book that she likes, she buy 5 of them or 7 of them, and she sent them to her friend around the world. So she's always buying books, not only one, but many of them, because she thinks that other people should read them too. So her always sending books to others. And then one of the Christmas gifts, we were saying, what we're going to give? Then I had this ebook called BQ, the Breath Intelligence. And then we gave everybody, she gave everybody, I don't know how many hundreds of people, we sent them that booklet about the breath intelligence. So for Laura too, leaders,
at least 1,000. It's 1,000 at least.
Okay, at least 1,000, 100. You were there about these stories. So we keep reading and we keep sharing. Hello, Laura. So it's such a beautiful stories about book. And here is my dear Laura, and we will continue with this interview, and later we'll have some question for Mohammed. So Mohammed, I know that in your career you have support many women in their expansion, and you work in sales, you work in branding, you work in marketing. So give us here now, this is the main part. I wanted to do this, an interview and a webinar. So let's have some minutes as a webinar. So you're gonna tell us about your work. What is it that you do as a mentor? And how have you been working with your client, and what's your advice for us?
All right.
And we'll continue the interview.
Sure. The way I work with people is first you need to understand whether they know where they are going. This is the first step. If they do not know where they are going, you try to guide them and show them the way. All right. But I think one of the best things people can do is to uncover their desires and their aspirations on their own. You should not be pushing people to do things that we think they are right. So given coaching to clients ranges to different things. Could be a career guidance. I had a woman who was, she was an executive and she was climbing the corporate ladder very fast, but she was worried because as she climbed the ladder, she became more responsible and she had so much on her shoulders. So how do you deal with that pressure? Because sometimes you want to be promoted, you want to be a manager, but when you become a manager, then you realize, oh, this is not what I wanted, because now the pressure is too much. Earlier, I used to enjoy life better. So depending on the client, sometimes it's a speech coaching. I remember one client, she called me and it was a Thursday night. And she said, Mohammed, I'm traveling on Saturday. I'm delivering a speech in Belgium on Sunday, then in Holland on Monday, and I don't know which country on Tuesday. I said, that's great. She said, yeah, I know, but I don't have a speech. So my job with her was hammering out the speech. So we sat together and we were chatting, and as we chatted together, we uncovered a few stories. We uncovered 3 stories that are relevant to her audience at that time. And then we came up with the introduction, we came up with the conclusion, and then she had a speech. And not only she had a speech, she had a speech that a humor element within the speech. The other thing that I do with clients is I guide them when they have startups. So if you have a startup, you need to think about different things. How do you launch it? What are the numbers? How did you make up your numbers, the financials? How are you planning to pitch to the investors to raise capital or raise money to fund your business? There are so many things we can do. So career, speech coaching, and a startup. These are the 3 things that I do most of the time. And of course, helping people publish books. That's what I do. So 4 things. And if you like, I'm an avid traveler. I traveled a lot. I can always design a good tour for people who are interested.
Yeah, and you have a trip coming soon to the. Shall we talk about it a little bit? your trip
Wha-
to?
Yeah, sure.
You're going to the Everest, and you told me you have a motive behind that. You
Yes.
challenge yourself, but also you want to get more awareness about emotional well-being and mental health and personal growth.
Yes, sure. See, Viola, I jumped from an airplane in 2018 from 4,000 meters. And when I did that, because I did so many adventures in my life, but when I jumped from the airplane, there was this thing. It was big because people were surprised. How can you do this? How do you have the courage to throw yourself from an airplane? And I'll tell you about my mom. I sent her a photo on WhatsApp, and she sent me a voice note, and she said, "Get down very quickly." That's her. So when I finished that jump, I thought, what can I do next? I need to do something big to challenge my limits. So on the 16th of January this year, I was going through my travel Instagram, that's Nomad973, and I found this sponsored ad by an Omani called Dr. Ali. And he's taken, he has an expedition to Everest Base Camp. And I thought, this is it. This is the answer to what I should do after jumping from the airplane. And I immediately contacted him on Instagram. Then we moved to WhatsApp, and then we moved to a phone call. And now I'm officially registered for the trip on the 3rd of May. We're going to Nepal, Kathmandu, and from Kathmandu, we will start the trek journey to Everest Base Camp. And the reason I want to do this is I want to challenge myself physically, emotionally, and mentally. Because when you go there, forget about drinking freshly brewed coffee, forget about having a hot shower, forget about, I don't have hair, so I will not talk too much about shampoo. So, but you will need to forget about so many luxuries that we take for granted, and that's very challenging. Now, I don't want to go for the trip for the sake of Muhammad. Usually when I have an undertaking like this, I like to supplement it with a social cause. So the social cause that I chose is mental health. And I'm already partnered up. I partnered up with the Child and Family Foundation Clinic in Bahrain. And by the way, this is Dr. Mariam Al-Ammadi. She was with us in the book, Women of Success. So as I said earlier, when you join a book with me, it's more than a book. The possibilities are limitless. So now I agreed with her social media team on a few things, and we will start talking about mental health from 15th of March. We have a program, we will share posts, we will have video interviews. So people should know more about mental health, because there are so many people suffering in silence. They don't know what to do. And that's our job. We need to inspire, we need to relieve the pain of others. Otherwise, there's no point. We should always help humanity in whatever way we can. And I think this is the least I could do. And of course, when I come back, hopefully in one piece, I'll be running interviews with TV, radio, and since I'm bilingual, these interviews will be in English and Arabic, and media magazines, everything, both podcasters. So I want to make this the highlight of 2022. That's Everest.
And for those who know me, of course, this is a theme after my own heart. So imagine how much I'm supporting. I'm so happy that Muhammad take this subject for his adventure. And I'm fully, me and Grit Academy fully supporting all these, what he's doing. And we hopefully will be doing things together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Yes. So, Mohammed, you have done several jobs and you have support many people in their growth. Do you have any career regrets?
Yeah, there are a few career regrets that I will always think of them, but again, we should regret things, but we should not be pulled down by these things. We should take them as a lesson. So in 2001, in December 2001, I ran a team building workshop in Bahrain. I was based in Dubai at that time. So I agreed with the Lipton Iced Tea branding team that they sponsor the event. So they gave me the Lipton Iced Tea banners, T-shirts, caps, hundreds of Lipton Iced Tea cans, and at that time I used to contribute to the Unilever Arabia newsletter. So we covered the Gulf states plus the Levant. So when I came to the brand manager, I said, "This is the article I wrote. Let me know if you want to do something or you want to edit something." And he had a few edits, and then we sent it, and of course it was published. And I remember the one of the images they placed for the newsletter at that time. It was my cousin's son. He was, I don't know how he was very young. He was a kid. He was a child. He's training to be a lawyer now. So that time passed from this event until today. Now, every Monday, we get the Unilever Global newsletter. And I read at that time that if you have a story you want us to publicize in our global newsletter, send us the story. So I sent them this story. And I thought, I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose. And this is a concept many people omit, that you need to try. You never know. It could be yes, it could be no. So at least try. So I tried. I sent it to the editor, and this is what happened. She replied, and she was so excited about the story. And she had around 7 questions. Can you tell us more on this and this and this and that? And I gave her all the answers she was looking for. And to my surprise, the following week, I was in the global newsletter of Unilever. Little I knew that I was the first person from Unilever Arabia to be published in that global newsletter. So I received calls from the chairman, from the board of directors, and I had a visit from the sales director. He said, "You don't belong to finance, you belong to sales. Come, join me in sales. You will have a better future in sales." So my stupid mind said, "You have been studying accounting for 4.5 years. You're preparing for the CPA. Are you going to let all of this go and go to sales?" And I told him no. So I regret that decision, because today, being my age, I know what is sales, and I know what can sales do to someone's career. I know someone now, he's in his late 60s. He worked in sales for 10 years, and then he retired. So I could have been that someone who worked for 10 years and retired. It's not about retiring, it's about financial freedom and doing what you love. So instead of only going to Mount Everest, I could go to the 7th summit in the world, if you have the resources and the means of doing so. So retirement is not something that I think of, but I think of financial freedom, and careers and business development or sales can give financial freedom.
Indeed. So it's true that you didn't become that person, but you become this person that we have the honor and the joy to have met, and you created this other career. But I understand what you're telling us is that sometimes the good luck, the thing knock to your door, you just breathe there. And if you can't say yes, at least don't say no, definitely. Ask for some mentorship, ask, and then you can go through. So I
Yes,
understand why you're sharing that regret with us.
absolutely.
Yes. So apart from doing this beautiful campaign for emotional well-being and mental health, what about other projects you have on the way? Because you're a man of project that slowly you finish. Like you suddenly tell me about something you're doing, and maybe after some months it appear, but meanwhile you have another project. You're steady. What I learned about you in this time that I know you, you're like experiencing, you're announcing, but you're steady in the result. So tell us what is on the way.
All right. There are many things that I can speak about. Of course, Accelerate Academy is one of them. Accelerate Academy was born during the Corona times. It was born in April 2020, in the middle of the peak of Corona. And the reason I created this academy is I had another brand called 3D Speaking, where I focused on speech coaching and public speaking seminars and workshops. But as I evolved in time, I'm doing more than that. So 3D Speaking cannot accommodate me as a professional. So Accelerate Academy was the way to the future. And I'm happy to say that the Bahrain Polytechnic University just assigned me 2 interns who will be working with me for 6 months on developing the idea of Accelerate Academy. So that's one project. Accelerate Academy is a digital platform where people can take online courses. They can have digital products downloaded. They'll have free resources as well. So I call it your destination for inspiration. That's what I call it. So people who want to accelerate in their lives, they should go to Accelerate Academy. We are yet to launch the website. When it's launched, I'll let you know, and you can announce it to your connections as well. So that's one. The other thing that I'm working on, of course, there will always be a few books. So this year I'm planning to publish 3 books. One is called On Management. This is a collaborative book, and you are in the book. All right. And then I have another book. It's a sequel to one of my books called Chai Karak, a customer service story. For those who don't know what is Chai Karak, it's tea with milk with a twist. And this is very popular in the Gulf states, in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and all this Indian subcontinent. They know what is Chai Karak. So Chai Karak is an analogy that I use for what it takes to provide excellent customer service. So that was the first book. Finishing the design with the typesetter on the second book. It's called Karak Express, 247 insights to improve your customer service. And there is this book also called On Assignment. And I think this will be one of my best books yet. On Assignment, in 2020, I was blessed to have a consulting assignment for one of the largest financial institutions in the region. And I'm turning that assignment into a book. So these are 3 things that I'm working on in terms of books. Other than that, there are always projects here and there that I'm working on in silence. And maybe Viola, I should tell you about this story that happened. And oftentimes we have this advice: you need to focus. You need to focus. I can see you doing so many things. You need to focus. Personally, I don't like this advice. I believe in the term multi-potentialite. There is a term multi-potentialite where a person can do so many things. So I had a meeting with a Canadian coach, and we were discussing so many things. That ultimately, she told me this advice: Mohammed, I think you need to focus. I told her, I don't want to focus. This is me. I like to do different things. I am a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a publisher, I am a board member, I am a business advisor, I'm an investor, I'm doing all of these things successfully at the same time. So why should I focus? She said, no, you need to focus. Then I told her this. I told her, look, I believe in the fisherman's approach. She said, what's that? The fisherman's approach. The fisherman. You know the fisherman? The fisherman that goes on a boat to fish? So yeah, what's that? I said, when a fisherman goes on a boat, goes into the sea, they cast their net, they let it sink, and then they pull the net, and whatever comes, they'll just take. Could be squid, could be crab, could be fish, could be shrimp. So they will categorize all these sea fruits and sell them to their respective customers. And that's it. So I believe we as a human being, we should always cast our net and wait for what happens next. Because sometimes if you focus on your career only in one direction and something happens to that direction you're focusing on, you're thrown off out of balance and you don't have anything else to do. And this is a concept that is tied with the concept of having multiple income. That's
Indeed.
what people should have.
I'm going to come to the academy. I'm going to give a talk about the 9 different personalities. So you and me, we get so along well together because we have similar personality. This personality generally is multi-potentialite. But when we talk about multi-potentialite, if you look at me and you, actually we are in the same field of human development in different area. But there is other personality that cannot do that, as we cannot focus in only one thing. So it's all depends of what is the air we breathe. So for some personality, like your Canadian coach, the air she breathed or he breathed is one thing at the time in an excellent way, focus on details. And when you take them to another way, they suffer, as we suffer if you oblige us to do that. So it's very interesting, the ability to be what genuinely Muhammad did is that he understood how his personality worked and he honored his personality. And when you learn how to do that, there is so little waste of energy because you go with the flow of your personality. And also you become that beautiful sculpture of your personality. And I love this story about Michelangelo when they asked Michelangelo, how did you do to create this sculpture, the La Pietà? And he said, I didn't do anything. It was just there. I just took the stone that was the excess of it. So, when you learn the shape of your personality, and this is what we work a lot in my field, then you can honor that and you can dance to that rhythm. And this is what happened to you. And for that is that big smile all the time with you. And you're a happy man. And you are a darling father, because I have seen you in some of the meeting we have when your kids come on, and you're so engaged with so many things in life because you don't resist what is your personality, and the work you have done is actually to take the excess away. And this is something I wish all of you.
I think Viola, since you said this, if you don't honor your personality, then you get into trouble. That's what happens. And one of the questions that I get asked most of the time is, how do you do all of this? Do you have staff with you? Do you have a big team? No, I don't have a big team. So I'll tell you one of the things that has helped me a lot is there are these things that require your attention, high level of energy and attention and thinking, and there are things that don't require these. So let's say I am now very tired. I cannot think of writing something or doing something that requires so much intellectual capacity. So I'll do something that doesn't require that. For example, I'm going to Everest now. Let me watch a YouTube documentary on Everest. So this is something productive. It will prepare me for the trip. At the same time, I don't feel that I wasted my time. I'm not saying we should not rest. We should rest. We should rest. But sometimes resting too much is not good. So also, I think people need to think of possibilities of whatever they are doing. Now, I'm going to Everest. It's true. I'm challenging myself emotionally, physically, and promoting mental health. But guess what, Viola? I already have a folder on my laptop. It's called 7 Lessons from Everest. So when I come back after doing all these media interviews, I promote this talk, a new talk based on what I learned from Everest. And this could be a corporate talk.
Indeed.
7 lessons of leadership from Everest, for example. So whatever money I have spent, it doesn't become a spend, it becomes an investment. So sometimes all it takes is we just change a little bit of our perspective to make something that sounds as an expense to become an investment. And this is what I'm planning to do. All the money that I will spend on this trip, I will recover through corporate speech, as simple as that.
Indeed. And then at the same time, you're helping several people to maybe hundreds or thousands of people to fulfill their dreams. And here there is some note. Please, I'm signing in your tour. So from this talk, also you get somebody is gonna travel with you on your tour. And before we finish, I would love dearest Laura to come and make you a question or share something of her own. Laura, are you there?
I'm
Laura.
right here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So
So I know we're fascinated here because you're a traveler, you're a reader. Also, we are told that we do several things at the time, but all is in the same way. And now Laura has created, with support of many of us in the board, a beautiful program. Muhammad, you would love this program. It's called Gender Parity and Caring Economy. And it's a program between 8 and 12 sessions that we're taking in Spanish, in English, and later on we will take to other languages toward the world. We already did it in South America. We have done it in Europe. Soon it's going to go to India and Africa. So we're very engaged with that. We will invite you someday to be with us there, see it.
That would be my pleasure.
We are very, very busy creating things, and Laura is so busy creating things for women, for family, and she's passionate about caring economy. And when you were saying about your 4 pillars, I would invite Laura to talk about the 4 pillars of caring economy, or if you have any question to Mohammed before we close, Laura.
absolutely. First of all, Mohammed, thank you very much. I believe deeply that leaders are readers. And I kept telling my kids, I've read them every day of their lives. I've been very, very active on reading. And in our program of Women Solutions, we have a book clubs where we discuss books. And one of the books we've discussed a lot is the author Riane Eisler. Riane, for the last 40 years, has been the inspiration of many to move towards a more caring economy, or to leave behind a domination society where violence and fear and maybe masculine violent type of actions on war and buying armament. And we see it now with Putin, you know, it's like what we are an amazing society. We are amazing human beings capable of so much empathy and beauty and care. And that's how we were born. We were born as humans. Our civilization was born as a caring essence compared to animals, because we care for each other. So now my question to you is, I have a few books that I would recommend to everybody. Given that you believe, you know, the first thing you said, books are the most important thing. And I truly believe that. So which are the 3 books that you think that have marked your life and that now you will recommend to adults? Because obviously we're different. And then I'll ask you the same question for youth, for teenagers. What is it that today you would highly recommend because they are so important, so that, let's say you have a genie that you can say, yes, these books will be read by everybody in the world because the genie will inspire them. Which are those books?
All right. Thank you, Laura, for your lovely introduction and your questions. The 3 books that I would recommend people to read is one, the book by Dr. Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I read that book many years ago. It's very helpful. And then one of the classics is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is a well-known book by many. And then the third book is a small book called How to Become a CEO. I already interviewed the CEO or the author of the book, and it's on my YouTube channel. It's an amazing book. Sometimes we read books not just to get what the title says. We read books because books will open up horizons that we never thought existed. And that's the beauty of books. Each of these books has the books sold in millions. But then how many of the millions or hundreds of thousands who read these books implemented these books or implemented ideas in the book? So it's not just about reading, it's about having an idea, implementing it. Now you're saying, Viola was saying you distribute 5 books every time you buy a book. I know someone who does that. I know someone who does that. And the 5 books he buys is for him and 4 of his children. And you know what? They will have a discussion. Each one of them, they will sit, they'll have coffee, tea, nuts, and they'll just discuss what did they take out from the book. And then you have the different insights and the different perspectives from these 5 people, and they all add up together. In terms of teenage books, that's an area that I find very difficult. But you know, unfortunately, most of the teen and the small kids, they like these series, Wimpy Kids or Dog Man or something. And I feel these are yes, they are good for entertainment, but not for mental feeding the mind. So that question I cannot answer now. I need to think.
Yes. And this book that you said from Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Efficient People, actually, it's such a book that so many people read, and we work with these books since the 90s. So I have personally with my team, we used to make we use this kind of book as a base, and we recreate them, and we create a workshop with anyone, each one of the habits, and it has been accompanying us for so long. So that's so beautiful what you just shared. And tell me, Laura, do you have any other questions?
Yes, if you can share, given that you've developed a lot in the last, since you were born, you were always seeking and seeking. Can you share something that, I always say that misfortune or problems are sometimes the best gifts that you get in life. Can you tell us what challenges you've had and how did you transform those challenges or that challenge into a gift to your life and to community or to the world? Thank you.
Well, I have many challenges, Laura, but I have one challenge that I never spoke about in public. This is a story between me and my father. My father was very harsh, and usually I don't like to share this story, but you should know that he was very harsh, and to grow up with a harsh father who was always shouting and hitting us, that was a big challenge. And this is a big challenge. How do you deal with such personality? And he's your father. You cannot block him. You cannot retaliate. You cannot do anything. And he's playing all these mental tricks on you, and intimidation and fear. So this could be anyone else who have these tricks, intimidation and fear. So I will refrain from telling you more about the story from my father, but I'll tell you a story of someone who I worked with. He was an executive at my level. he always saw me as a threat. And he once played a very dirty game with me. He had someone call me, and that someone pretended to be a police officer from the FBI version of Bahrain. And he was telling me, we know all about what you did, and this will be conveyed to the chairman of the company, and you will be fired. So you have a choice. Either you submit your resignation now, or we're going to talk to the chairman of the company and give him all the evidence we have, and you'll be fired from this company. And I didn't nudge. Said, I know myself, I haven't done anything wrong. And ultimately, these calls stopped because they saw that there was a man who was steadfast and is not manipulated easily. So fear and intimidation can either make you or break you. That's what I believe.
Thank you very much. That was really very, very inspiring. So
thank you so much for the question.
You're welcome. So Viola, it's now yours, the line.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Laura, for this very humanistic and caring question to see. And thank you to see the integral part, the whole part of our guest. And thank you, Mohammed, for trusting us in this platform and sharing something about intimate life. And I am sure that you will inspire a lot of people that had childhood similar to you. But it's how many don't get break, and me myself as a specialist in recovery from addiction, we can see how many people could not bear that reality and how they went into another escapism and how that damaged their life and affect the life of their family. So now I'm triple time proud of you, more than before.
Thank you so much.
So it's so nice to know about you a little bit more, and I want you, in my name, Laura, and all the rest of the board, that you count on us in Women for Solution, and hopefully we can do other things together. We can create some alliances, and we can support you also in your journey, being for the Everest or being in your Accelerate Academy. So count on us. And I'm sure we can count on you. And hopefully one day we can do more books for women and for families, because caring economy is not only about women, it's about everybody, but from the angle of the caring that is so passionate for Laura. And through her, we've been learning now for 2 years about that. And hopefully we can have with you a caring alliance, and we can do many things. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
Yes. If you have any message for us, yes. And thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to leave the last word for Mohammed and Viola Edward here. It's my pleasure to be with you again. So the last word before we finish this interview is yours, Mohammed.
Thank you, Viola, for inviting me, and thanks for the opportunity. And if there is one message that I want to convey, is reach out. We need to reach out to each other. Reach out when you need help. Reach out when you can offer help. Because when we do that, we will reach places we never imagined. So reach out.
Thank you so very much. And
so to summarize that, could you say that is reach out for your mentors, like you, Viola, and
you.
And so, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, we're talking about mentors. We already included that in our program, and we're taking mentorship to the whole world. Thank you so much for your time, Mohammed, and see you next time in our webinars interview. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.